everybody, Ryan Medora here, and I am back with another bass lesson for you. And today we are talking about one of the most fundamental concepts behind bass playing from a technical standpoint, and that is dead notes. A lot of people have questions about dead notes, and for some people it's something that's very intuitive and very easygoing. For others it's definitely a struggle, and so this video is here to help you play some dead notes. So first off, let's explain what a dead note is. A dead note is essentially something that prioritizes percussion over pitch. What I mean by that is saying the note, the actual note, say E or C sharp or B flat or whatever that is not quite as important. It's kind of deprioritized, and the thing that is important is the percussive or the rhythmic element to it. So if you think about some bass lines that we might dig, like let's say like Shake Your Body by the Jacksons. That's got like a super cool groove to it. If we were to take some of the dead notes away, it's still cool, but there's definitely some funk missing. So the dead notes are what really help us out with that. So other instruments also play dead notes. You know, think about like a drummer. Sometimes they'll add some other little like ghost notes, another term for dead notes. Ghost notes or dead notes on a snare, or guitar players might go like, they might add a little chicka chicka. And in that sense, they are also prioritizing percussion over pitch when they play something. So there are other ways that different instruments play dead notes, but for us as bass players, it's definitely a cool thing that comes down to this hand, our plucking hand, and I'm going to show you a couple tips for that right now. So to play the dead note, I like to start by using a dead note and playing it right before I play a pitch note. So let's say I'm going to be playing an E. Here I'll play an E on the 7th fret. I'm going to add a dead note before playing that pitch note, so it'll sound like this. We've got a groove already. So all I'm doing is I'm playing this dead note before the pitched note. Now, to do that, I'm synchronizing a couple things with my hands. The first is that I am using my fretting hand to first just gently rest on the string before fretting the string. So it's resting to play the dead note, fretting and pushing down when I play the pitched note. So there's a difference between playing a rested or a muted note and then playing the fretted note. Now with this hand, I'm going to try alternating, and I'm going to play the dead note with one finger and then the pitched note with the other. So if, let's say I use my middle finger for the dead note, I'll use my index finger for the pitched note, or vice versa. Index for the dead note, middle finger for the pitched note. It kind of just depends on how you're playing and stylistically what you're doing and where things fall like within the bass part that you're playing. So, but a great way to practice this again is to try to play a dead note before playing a pitch note. And if you want to, if you have a metronome handy, always dig the metronome, you might want to set it to a tempo and say, you know, play quarter notes on E, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just try playing a dead note before beat 1. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, you hear how I kind of did that like the little skip, the little dead note into the downbeat. Pretty cool. Already a little funky. You can take it a step further by saying, okay, well, why don't we add a dead note before beats 1 and beats 3? Also pretty cool. You can say we can add a dead note before every beat. That's cool too. But getting this technique down is something that is going to be super helpful for you. And when you're doing it, one thing to be careful of is not creating a harmonic. Now, a harmonic is when maybe your finger is just over the fret and you create that harmonic that rings out. We kind of want to avoid doing that. So we want to make sure that our finger isn't right over the fret, and instead it's right behind the fret. And it's also good if some of your other fingers are maybe hanging out to help the muting process. Like you'll see that maybe like while I'm using my index finger to play the dead note and the fretted note, my other fingers, my middle and my ring finger, are kind of hanging out at the ready to be there to help the muting process, and then lifting up when I do the fretted note. Again, it's like a very short, quick motion, but a synchronized thing that happens technically that really results in a clear sounding dead note as opposed to a harmonic. So muting is key here, and not getting that harmonic is what we want to get. So that also changes depending upon where you are on the instrument. Certain frets are a little bit more harmonic friendly, so 5th fret, 7th fret, 12th fret, it's going to be easier for a harmonic to speak out, so you definitely want to be careful when you're playing a dead note around there. It's maybe not as big of a deal if you're playing on like the 4th fret or something. It's not necessarily going to generate a harmonic as easily. So these are just a couple of tips about dead notes. Again, take this, put it into perspective of playing a percussion note and then a pitch note. You know, that's really what it is. And add it into your playing as much as you can. Try to hear it within different grooves. Throw your metronome on, come up with like a cool little pattern. You can play 2 dead notes, 3 dead notes. You know, you can get really creative rhythmically with it. And I hope that that adds a little fun element of your groove to all the music out in the world. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and if you want to support, you can head over to my Patreon page or my TrueFire channel, or check out ryanmedora.com for other educational goodies. And in the meantime, hope you dug this lesson. Happy practicing, everybody. Keep it groovy.